Okay, today what we're going to be doing is section 4.5, which is actually solving quadratic equations. Now, whenever you solve quadratic equations, in order to be able to solve them, you must first have to factor. So everything that you've learned in section 4.4 has to now be applied in section 4.5. So how do we go about this? Step 1, set the equation equal to 0. Step 2, find the GCF. Just like we did previously, we found the GCF and we factored it out by doing division. Okay. Then you're going to factor what's left into two binomials, and you're going to set each parenthesis equal to 0. And then you're going to solve each small equations, and these are your answers, which are your x-intercepts. X-intercept is an interesting word right there. So what is an x-intercept? An x-intercept is the point on the graph where it crosses the x-axis. And all x-intercepts are in the form of x comma 0. An x-intercept has many, many different names. There are answers, solutions, factors, zeros, and roots. So all of those are what you would also call an x-intercept. So we're going to go straight to your homework tonight, and I'm going to start your homework with you. So let's start with problem number 1. So we're going to follow these steps. So here we go. Step 1, set it equal to 0. Is it equal to 0? Sure. Step 2 is we want to factor it. So in order for factoring it, we have to find the GCF. Well, the smallest number up there is a 1, so therefore there is no GCF. So we're going to set this into two binomials. I'm going to split up x squared into x and x. Then I have to have a positive set 27, but I have to have a negative 12. That means my signs are going to be minus, minus. And I need factors of 27 that are going to add to 12. Well, off the top of your head, the factors of 27 are 9 and 3. Does 9 and 3 give you 12? Yes, they do. So we are going to do a little side check here. So this is going to give you a negative 9x. This is going to give you a negative 3x to give you the negative 12x. So I know I factored it correctly. So then we are going to take the GCF, which we don't have one, and each parenthesis, x minus 9, and set it equal to 0. X minus 3 equal to 0. And then we're going to solve each equation. I'm going to add 9. So x is equal to 9. I'm going to add 3. So x is equal to 3. And those are going to be your answers. Okay? And that is problem number 1. Problem 6. Problem 6. Step 1, set it equal to 0. Well, right now, it's set equal to 10. That's a problem. So I'm going to bring the 10 on the same side by subtracting 10 from both sides. So 3x squared minus 13x minus 10 is equal to 0. Now from there, we're going to pull out a GCF. My lowest number is a 3. 3 does not go into 13 or 10, so therefore I do not have a GCF. So I'm going to break down factors of 3. The factors of 3 are going to be x and 3x. Factors of 10, I'm going to go ahead and do factors of 10 are 1 and 10 and 2 and 5. Now I always told you to use the middle one, so we're going to go ahead and use 2 and 5. Now if I use 2 and 5, I have to get a negative 13. My signs must be different. So I need to get a number over this negative 13. So the only way I can do that is by putting the 5 here and the 2 there. So by doing that, I have to have opposite signs. So this gives me a negative 15. And this gives me a positive 2 to give me a negative 13x. So I know I factored it correctly. So now I'm going to go ahead and set each parenthesis equal to 0. And I'm going to solve each small equation, subtract the 2 over, and divide by 3. So then for number 6, your answers are negative 2/3 and x equals 5. Okay? Number 7. Number 7. So we're going to go ahead and bring the 49 over to the other side by subtracting it. So I have 16x squared minus 49 is equal to 0. I do not have a GCF. So I'm going to go ahead and put this into two binomials. What are the closest factors of 16? I have 1 and 16, 2 and 8, 4 and 4. So I'm going to use a 4x and a 4x. Factors of 49, 7 and 7. I need a plus and I need a minus. How do I know that? Because I have to have a negative 49. My middle term is understood to be a 0. How do I know that? Because there is no middle term, which means I am trying to find factors of 49 and 16 that whenever they're multiplied together are going to give you a 0x. So I know that I have to have inner and outer terms have to be exactly the same. So inside gives me a 28x, outside gives me a negative 28x to give me a 0x. So I know I have factored it correctly. So set each parenthesis equal to 0. Subtract 7. And then divide by 4. Add 7. And then divide by 4. So my two answers that you should have is negative 7/4 and positive 7/4. Okay? Next, number 9. Step 1, set it equal to 0. It already is. Step 2, now I need to go ahead and put this into two binomials. So I need to have factors of 4. My factors of 4 are 1 and 4 and 2 and 2. Now I need you to think a little bit. I have to get over the number 35 because that is a big middle number. So instead of using 2 and 2, I'm going to use 4x and x just by gut instinct because I know I need bigger numbers. My factors of 9 are 1 and 9 and 3 and 3. I'm not going to use 1 and 9. I'm going to go ahead, I'm not going to use 3 and 3, which are my middle factors. I'm going to use 1 and 9. And I'm going to put the 9 on the outside here so that I'm multiplying it by the 4 here to give me a 36x. And then on the inside, that's going to give me a 1x. I need my signs to be opposite. 36 is going to be the negative, and the 1 is going to be the positive. And that's going to give me the negative 35, which is what I wanted. So set each parenthesis equal to 0. Subtract the 1 and divide by 4. And add 9. So my two answers are going to be x is equal to negative 1/4 and x is equal to 9. Two more problems. Number 17. Number 17, do I have it equal to 0? Yes, I do. Do I have a GCF? My smallest number up here is 5. 5 goes into 35 and to 60, so I have a GCF. So I'm going to pull out 5, and that's going to give me an x squared. 35 divided by 5 is 7x. 60 divided by 5 is a 12. So now I need to go ahead and put this into two binomials. X squared is going to give you x and x. Factors of 12 that give you 7. Well, how about 3 and 4? I need them both to be the same sign, and they're both going to be negative. So now I'm going to go ahead and set the GCF and each parenthesis equal to 0. Now, does 5 ever equal 0? The answer to that is no, it does not, so you cross it off. 5 can never equal 0. Now, if that was a variable, you'd have to acknowledge it. Go ahead and add 3 here, so x is equal to 3. Go ahead and add 4 here, so x is equal to 4. So you have two answers. Okay? Number 23 is the last one we're going to be doing together. So we're going to go ahead and set this thing equal to 0. Now, I have one term on the left side and I have two terms on the right-hand side. But the highest exponent is a 3. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring everything that is on the right-hand side over to the left by subtracting it on both sides. So that's a 6x cubed minus a 5x squared minus a 6x is equal to 0. So now, do I have a GCF? And the answer to that is, I don't have a numerical GCF, but I do have a variable that is exactly the same in every one of those terms. So I'm going to pull out an x to the first power, leaving behind a 6x squared minus a 5x minus a 6. Okay? Then I'm going to go ahead and use my middle term factors for 6. 6 is going to be the same thing as 1 and 6 and 2 and 3. If you don't want to use 1 and 6, I'm going to use 2x and 3x. Okay? I'm going to use still factors of 6, and I'm going to use the 2 and the 3 again. I cannot put the 2 here, so the 2 has to go here. So that means the 3 goes there. Inner gives me a 9x, outer gives me a 4x. I need a negative 5, which means I have to make the 9 negative, which means the 3 is negative and the 2 is positive. So now you are going to set each parenthesis equal to 0 as well as your GCF. So x is equal to 0, add the 3, and divide by 2. Subtract the 2, and divide by 3. So you have 3 answers because my exponent up here was the 3, so I have 3 answers, and my 3 answers are x equals 0, x equals 3 over 2, and x equals negative 2/3. That is tonight's homework. If you have any questions, please let me know.